is in your hands. My life is in your hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able. My life is in your hands. My life is in your hands. You took control when I was young, when I was not able.
Hi, welcome to my show called Inspired Blessings with Jimmy Prince. And today we have our guest is Joe Loffreno, sorry. I happen to have a habit of doing that with names. He's an actor as well as a child of God. And he reached out to me on Facebook after seeing my TV show in Montauk, I guess it was, right? And you were saying thank you for spreading the word, which is of course of the message of Jesus Christ. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And
thank you for having me.
I also spoke with you, kind of speaking about your testimony and things like that. Learning more about it. So I thought it was very interesting, and I thought it would be great to have you on the show. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great. Thanks.
No problem. Now, why is it so important for me to be spreading the word?
Because there's a lot of people spreading the word that God is dead and God never existed and God is not there for us. And
right.
So we have to counter that.
Right.
Being children of God, which
right.
everybody is, they just don't realize it.
Right. No.
A lot of people just think that He's not here anymore and He's not with us, and
mm-hmm.
I can guarantee you He definitely is.
Right. The fact that you said that God's not dead, there was actually a Christian movie that was made. The name of it was God's Not Dead, and I highly recommend it for people to watch it. I believe you can get it on Netflix. I also know that at a young age you had kind of experienced God. So if you could share that, I'd appreciate it.
You're talking about the near-death experience
mm-hmm.
that I had.
Mm-hmm.
When I was, I guess I was around 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was swimming at a neighbor's pool in Florida. My family lives down there. And I drowned. I was under the water for I don't know how long, but...
and how old were you again?
I think I was right around 8 years old.
Okay.
So I was down, dead, under the water. I don't even remember how I got down there. I totally lost consciousness. And one of the neighborhood kids
mm-hmm.
happened to be swimming also with us. He drove down, pulled me out, pulled me up onto the decking of the pool, and started screaming, "We need the nurse! We need the nurse!" from
right.
down the street. I didn't realize it was me that was dead, and I
now,
left.
Tell me this. So is it that you kind of heard this, even though you were dead, but you heard this happening?
Yeah, I felt like I was actually there as myself.
Okay.
I didn't know who was laying on the ground, but I actually saw the body. I saw
mm-hmm.
my own body on the
right.
ground. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I have to go to the neighbor. I have to go get this woman."
Mm-hmm.
So I go running down the street, and I have no legs.
Right.
And I as I'm running, I thought, "Wow, I'm running faster than I've ever run." And I get down to her house, mm-hmm. and I'm actually banging on the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't hear myself banging, but I know that I'm banging because I mentally, physically feel like I'm banging on her door.
Mm-hmm.
She can't hear me though.
Right.
And I hear the woman inside making little clinks and clanks with putting dishes away and silverware in her dish drain.
And why isn't she running into the door?
And I can't imagine. I'm screaming.
Right.
I think I'm screaming. Nobody could hear me.
Right.
I've left my body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at that point of spirit form. I'm banging and banging, and then all of a sudden, Christy and Dougie, the neighbors, the one guy, he pulled me out, and his sister, Christy, they came running up. And I'm screaming at them, "She can't hear me, she can't hear me. I don't know why she can't hear me." Well, they bang on the door, she comes right to it. They explain that Joe's dead. Joe's, he's laying on the surface of by the pool.
Right.
And I'm listening to this, and I still don't understand why she can't hear me,
yeah,
but
right.
whatever. But
right.
as long as she's paying attention to them,
mm-hmm.
it's fine.
Right.
So they start running back, and of course I fly right past them because, again,
mm-hmm.
I have no legs.
Right, right.
So I go flying past, get to the pool area way before they do, and then they come running up. And I remember a crowd of people. It must have been Christy, Dougie, probably the woman who owned the house,
mm-hmm.
the daughter, that she was one of us, a little bit younger than me at the time. So they're all over me, and that's the last thing I remember until I woke up and it was this is the strangest feeling. I woke up in the back
Can
of.
I just stop you a second?
Okay.
So when you're seeing that they're over you, are you realizing that body that they're looking over is you, and like, why are you here, and why is your body there?
No, I still didn't realize it was me.
Okay.
I think that's the innocence of being a child. You don't really, I mean, for myself, I
Understand
didn't
it.
really comprehend what was
Yeah.
exactly going on. I just knew that somebody was dead, and I went to go get help, and
Sure.
now that person, whoever's laying there, is getting help. And I woke up, and it was the strangest feeling. I still haven't been able to figure out how this happened, because it was the daylight that it happened. And back then, I was living on Fort Myers Beach in Florida. We had this old ambulance company, and they had those old station wagon ambulances.
Okay.
And I remember looking up and seeing the top of the station wagon ambulance, but I saw like the red and blue lights flashing from the outside. I looked over and I saw out of the windows, but it was darkness. It was really dark.
Right.
And it still makes no sense to me, because it was light out when I drowned. So how could I, moments later, be in an ambulance
In darkness. Right.
and seeing the blue red lights flashing? So I still haven't figured that part out yet. But yeah, so that was my near-death experience, or my death experience, and I came back.
Well, you're not going to just stop there, but give us a little bit more of what happened. So you're in the ambulance, you're out of the ambulance, so then what happens?
So I passed out again. I don't remember anything after that until I'm waking up again in the hospital, and my father's screaming, "Let's get out of here, because they're going to charge us for a whole day." I said, "What happened? How did I get here?" I didn't even know. He said, you were just swimming and you drowned. He said, "But you're fine. Just get your clothes on."
Now, did they,
So-
did they say how long you were out for?
No, but you got to figure, to run down the street, it's got to take at least 5 minutes, I would say, to get to the nurse's house. 4 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
4 to 5 minutes to get back.
Okay.
It wasn't me running. I could do
I
it
know.
just
But they
like
were
that.
running, but you
for them
judged
to
it by
run.
them. Okay.
So you're figuring at least, I would say, a minimum of 8 minutes right there. And then I don't know how long I was under for, and I don't know how long it took to get me to come back. So I was down for quite some time. So technically, I should have severe brain damage.
Yeah, that's what I'm
or
trying
not
to
even be
figure out.
alive at
Right.
all.
But now, when I had
So-
stopped you before, you had said now that you were in heaven. You, I believe, like you had.
No, I don't
No?
know when I was saying about the darkness and being in the ambulance with the lights.
No. Then what happened was you had sensed something to the fact that then all of a sudden I thought you were saying you were in heaven or something.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think I was in heaven. I think
Okay.
I was at this.
Maybe
I
I
think
misunderstood.
if I would have been dead for a little bit longer, I think I would have probably moved on to another place.
Right.
But I wasn't there
Sure,
yet.
okay. All right, but anyway, so the thing is that you just remember in the fact of, when did you recall this, that you remember this happening? Did you?
Probably, probably about, I would say about 2 years later, I started like thinking about what had happened. Probably within about 4 years after that, then I recalled everything. And then I remember being about 13 years old. So remember, this happened when I was 8. When I was about 13, I saw Dougie and Christy Suter, my neighbors. I was working at some 5 and dime store or something close by,
Right.
and I remember seeing them. I hadn't seen them for a long time. And I remember thanking them for saving my life,
Right.
for Dougie running, and I told him the story then. So, yeah, it took a few years for it all to really come into my grasp of understanding what had happened. But I'm glad I did.
But when you thought of it and when you started to share it, did people think you were crazy?
Yeah.
Or, like, what did your dad think?
Yeah,
You know,
I
because-
told them, and I told him, and I told my mother, and they basically just shrug it off. It's,
Right.
I'm imagining things type of,
Right. So how did that affect your life, though, that experience?
Well, I realized, for myself, I realized there's no chance that when a person dies, that is the end. Like I say, I never saw the pearly gates. I never saw relatives, but I know that if I was able to leave my body
Right.
and not be connected to my body whatsoever, that means that it's not just our bodies. We
Right.
move on. Our souls, our spirits, our life force doesn't die with our bodies.
Right.
And our memories also are intact, because I remember going to the lady's house. I remember going to the nurses. I knew exactly how to get there.
Right.
I knew when Dougie and Christy ran up and banged on the door, I knew who they were.
Right.
So we don't lose that.
Right.
Now, what happens after?
Right. That might be a
I
different
didn't
story.
experience, but the body definitely is not
Yeah,
the
because
end.
because I'd like to think the fact that when you're in heaven, the things that was basically not pleasant experience, that you wouldn't remember it. You don't want to remember it. So the fact that, because God says more tears, no more sorrows, when you're in heaven and things like that. And I think the opposite thing with hell is that you probably remember how many times people try to tell you about Jesus Christ, and the fact that that they rejected it. So sometimes I think that actually may come to haunt them, if the fact that they choose not to accept Jesus Christ in their life and that they're in hell. But so at this point, did you have any faith in God? Did you believe in God, or what did you think?
I was raised Catholic,
Okay.
so
The majority of the people?
yeah, probably till I was about 14 years old, I was going to Sunday school. My parents would, all take us to church, and Sunday school was after. So I believed in God, and I believed in Jesus Christ, but not like I do now. It was more of a ritualistic type of a thing to
Right.
say everything. And I could repeat exactly what the priest was going
Right.
to say before he said it.
And I understand that because I grew up Catholic myself, and the way I say it is I believed in God because I was told to believe in God,
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than really believing.
Right, yeah. I as a child, yeah. Bad things would happen, as happens to all kids, and
Right.
I would question, like, why is this happening? If you're here, why is this happening? Why are you letting this happen to me?
Right.
It wasn't anything so traumatic that I couldn't probably survive it, but just the way, as a child, getting picked on and getting into fights and this and that, and even getting into arguments with my parents. Even after church, I remember getting into many arguments with my father, and I would say, well, if you're here, I just went to church. I couldn't believe, I couldn't grasp the fact that if I went to church and I went to your house to pray, why are you letting this happen to me? And then I realized that it
You
wasn't.
felt like you should have been rewarded for your faithfulness
Yeah.
to serve Him.
I didn't comprehend what was happening, and now I realize free will is what was making a lot of things happen in my life, and
Right.
and people, God's with us all the time, but unfortunately, bad things happen to good people, and
Right.
it's part of free will.
You're my first actor on my show, and what made you get into acting?
I was at work. I was killing some time, and I was on the computer and saw a friend of mine, his mutual friend. She kept on posting that she was on the set of Royal Pains, and she was doing background acting for them. So I contacted her, and I just was kind of like fooling around, said, well, how could a person get on the set of Royal Pains?
Right.
And she said, oh, are you serious? Give me a second. And then she looked at my Facebook stuff, and she said, oh, yeah, you'll do. I still thought it was kind of a joke. And,
Right.
why would I be used on, like a national television show? She goes, oh, no, we need background actors all the time. So I think about a week later, I was on set. I was in Southampton, and I couldn't believe what was
cool.
going on. I was so scared that day.
Sure.
I had no idea what to expect.
Right, because you didn't even have any acting, right? Any
Yeah,
training.
nothing. And I just thought to myself, well, on the way there, my heart was beating out of my chest. I was driving down 27, heading towards, actually, that one wasn't, I think, in West Hampton Beach, that first shoot that I went to. It was season 4 of Royal Pains.
Right.
It was a show called Dawn of the episode was called Dawn of the Med. It was like some spoof on, I guess, Dawn of the Dead.
Right, I get it.
Yeah, it was some Halloween thing possibly, I don't know. Right. But anyway, so got on there, and as I'm driving there, I thought to myself, I'm never going to make it. My heart's just going to completely just beat right out of my chest. I'm so scared. I have no idea what's going on here. I didn't even know what kind of acting they were expecting of me, if I was
Right.
going to speak,
Right.
if I was just going to be walking around in the background.
trip.
Hey, so I'm sweating, and then all of a sudden, I started praying to God, because I had no idea I physically couldn't handle that level of stress on my own. I couldn't. I was just going to shake off the set.
Right.
And there's no
You
way.
were just the background, but anyway.
And I was just the background, but I didn't know. I was scared.
Right.
It was a new thing for me. Never experienced anything like that before. I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want to make my friend look bad for getting me onto the show. So I started to pray to God. And I actually heard God's words saying, just show up. I'm going to carry you. I'm gonna carry. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is show up.
Okay.
And then when I heard that,
Was that the first time you heard God speak to you, or is it something that happens consistently?
Yeah, I kind of think it is. I mean, I've always felt God's presence, but I never actually heard His voice and His love, and I actually felt like He was hugging me.
Right,
He was like He was physically hugging me, and I'm getting chills talking about it because that was such an awakening for me. And I almost started to cry, and I'm driving along. And as soon as that happened, I started to feel like warm inside of me. And I heard Him say, "Don't worry, you're going to be fine," stuff like that. And I heard Him say the words, "Thy will be done." And I go, and that was it. All of a sudden my heart rate went back to normal. No more sweating, no more anxiety, no more anything. I show up, I meet my friend Cheryl, I park where she tells me to park. Everything is 100% fine. Everything's fine. Get out there. Get featured on camera. My very first day I'm on set was in like the local newspaper. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to share this experience with everybody.
Right.
And then after that, it's been about 4 years now.
So tell me, how is it to be on the set with Clint Eastwood directing you?
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I played the part of a co-pilot on the movie is called Sully.
Okay.
I don't think it's out. It's not out yet.
Oh, that's the true story. Of
the Sully Sullenberger
okay.
when he landed in the Hudson.
All right.
So I'm just a guy in the background.
All right, I'll have to look for you.
Yeah, I'm walking through the airport. Maybe you'll see me sitting. It depends, what they cut, what they don't. But I was really excited to work with Clint Eastwood.
I mean, were you thinking to yourself, I can't believe I'm actually here and Clint Eastwood is directing this?
Yeah,
Sometimes people can have like an out-of-body experience or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't anything like that because I had worked with a lot of like bigger guys or just as big, people like Tom Selleck and stuff like that
really?
too. So yeah, I was in a little scene with him also on Blue Bloods, and yeah, I love this stuff.
If you know anybody that needs an Asian in the background, just give me a call.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, I could hook you up. Somebody hooked me up, so I could hook you up.
Sounds good. But I'll have to see what the content is first, though. You know what I mean? Now, tell me this: do you think of when you get a call and what kind of compromises you might have to make? That you really don't feel that goes along with your Christian faith?
Yeah, I won't do certain things. I won't act like I'm a gay guy on set.
Right.
I won't kiss another man. I won't do anything like that. Obviously, I just feel it's not the right thing.
Right.
To do on camera, and I just won't. So I've never gotten those kind of calls. There's also submissions. You actually submit to this stuff.
I was going to say, do you put?
So yeah, I won't submit to anything that's going to compromise me as a human being. Right now, I'm working on a SAG indie film, which actually is going to be pretty good. It's called Underdogs.
Oh, yeah?
So you could probably find that you can actually find that on IMDb. I'm not sure how much of a page the guy has set up yet. His name is Junson Chan. He's about 30 years old. It's his first film, and low budget SAG indie film.
Right.
Called Underdogs.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's funny when this lady who had the gift of prophecy 14 years prior to writing the book, because I had heard God tell me, do the book. And it was just amazing. So I literally heard him say that, the Holy Spirit. Anyway, so she had said, when I gave her 5 inspirations at the time that God had blessed me, she goes, "Oh, Junior, I see you're going to be writing a book, you're going to be doing some kind of a movie, and you're going to be speaking at different places." And I laughed at her because I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "I'm not a writer and this and that." And look at what, you take that leap of faith and look what can happen. You took that leap of faith and look what, is happening to you.
Yes, I'm very excited about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that's great.
I don't know how far it's going to take me. I'm leaving it up to God.
You know what's expanding now is the Christian movies. Have you thought about applying to movies that are Christian faith-based?
I haven't seen, well, actually the show we're working on right now, The Underdogs, it's a spoof on politics. And I'm actually playing the part of a very bad person in this, and probably the worst kind of person on the planet. I can't really get into details because it hasn't been released yet, but I'm a really bad guy. But I could say the premise of it is it's not to promote horrible people or horrible situations. It's actually to probably go against what I represent in the film. so people realize that, wow, this is the way the world really is. A lot of the subject matter is going to be really highly controversial,
Right.
and because it's current events that are taking place. That's the writer's actually writing the script based on current events as they're taking place.
You know what?
So-
I'll tell you this, is that I'd have to say probably the last year my eyes have really been open to what's really happening in this world. Our secular news does not tell you what's really going on in our nation. We're the only nation that seems to hide the true news. Oh, actually, True News, I got to plug that. True News, TRUNEWS.com. It's an uncensored Christian news. So what I'm kind of realizing now is that what we see on TV, some of the stuff that's in movies, it's almost reality of really the way the world is that we don't realize. Am I right about that?
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of these shows, I mean, they copy the headlines. They change times, dates, and locations, and all they have to do is go in any courtroom and sit there for a little while, and they get their stories.
Right.
So
yeah, I guess what I'm also saying is that maybe some people aren't going to agree with this, but I've seen documentaries on transhumanism. That's robots.
Oh, yeah,
robots,
wow.
Taking part robots and part human beings.
Yeah.
Have we not seen something like
like
that in the movies?
cyborgs, yeah, and I think that they've been doing that for a really long time, actually.
Right, and so whether or not to get our mind kind of being able to accept things that we see on in the movies and TV, and to say like, oh, okay, we've seen that. So
Yeah,
we're used
that's
to that.
right. Well, that's normal.
Right?
It's kind of like they're
Deceiving.
preconditioning us for what's to come.
Just like, you hear about the mark of the beast, the revelations, and what it's revealing in the end times, taking. We're thinking it's some kind of a chip that you can buy and sell. Well, universities, I mean, college kids are starting to take these chips into their
Right, at a convenience to buy and sell.
and
Yeah.
it's got their information. But if you read what Revelation says, that you'll not have any entrance into the kingdom of heaven. So I just feel that a lot of people are being blinded and not reading really what it says in the Bible, because God tells you these are the things that are going to happen. These are the signs. Where He gives you signs. The headlines. You take a look at the headlines. The headlines that's not hidden from us. Okay, it's really the headlines that you see that's in other nations that are written about us. Okay, or the fact that things happening in their nations, and then you take a look at the end times in Revelations, and you're like, wow, it's actually coming true.
Yes.
And that's why I feel that Jesus Christ is coming soon, and people aren't going to be ready. And like He says, I'm going to come like a thief in the night, because the fact that you did not, read my word, and where I gave you signs to look for. Because He says, as Christians, we're not supposed to be surprised.
Yeah, I think there was a movie actually out. Who's in it? Kirk Cameron's in it. It's called Left Behind. Mm-hmm. That's what I was just thinking about. There's going to be a lot of people left behind.
Yeah. Now there's that controversy whether it's pre-trib or mid-trib or, yeah. But I'm reading this book, Babylon Code, and it was written, and it's by a pastor who did a lot of research and has hard evidence, and it's talking about the one world government, talking about the fact that the different elite groups and how they're making everything come into play. What does the Bible in Revelation say? It talks about a one world government, cashless society. You Google cashless society, and guess what? You got information there. And even Bloomberg News had a report about the cash that looking to make things like a cashless society. So it's like, wow.
Yeah. Now they have these things. I believe they're called. Are they called bitcoins or bitcons? You ever hear of those? It's computer money, is what it is. It's not real money, but you buy it with real money.
Well, here's the thing. If you make it a cashless society, then it's digital money. But you know what? That's not something that we actually have in our hands. So somebody could actually just wipe it out, and now we got no money.
Yeah.
So you know what? If not enough people are understanding that that's where it's looking to go as a cashless society, we need to really speak up and say, no, we don't want that. We want to have our own money. That we can have it, that can't be just taken away just like that.
Well, it's already written in Revelations that it's going to happen, and unfortunately, because of current events, I mean,
but we can try
God
to
could save
fight it,
us. God could pull us out of this direction we're going into. We're already there anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? And so that's why I say we just have to have our faith in Jesus Christ, because the end result is, yes, it has been, given, and whether or not this is the time, which to me, out of all the times that people thought it was the end times, look at the newspaper article. What was it? Just recently I just saw Risen, and it was based on the theory of the Roman guard who didn't believe in Jesus Christ rising from the dead, and he goes and searches everywhere to find him, and eventually he finds him alive, and he ends up becoming a believer. So I'm just saying is that I don't know if the secular, movie companies are seeing, and I'm sure they are realizing the fact that these Christian movies that are being made are using such low budget, but they are making astronomical money on top of that. So maybe it'll open their eyes to say, you know what, maybe people are seeing that they want.
I think if people get exposed to the truth, they'll actually like it.
Yeah,
They get exposed to Jesus Christ and to God, they'll actually appreciate him.
Yeah.
But they're not being taught it in schools. They've taken God out of our classrooms. You're not allowed to even speak about Jesus or God, they think, in school anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm having a hard time understanding how these teachers and how these principals and how the school boards, I'm having a hard time understanding where do they think that they came from.
I know.
And the majority of them were raised either Catholic and Christian. I don't know where they lost their faith or why they lost their faith,
Right.
but they better get it back pretty quick.
Right.
Because all they're doing right now is teaching desperation and nepotism and poverty, and they're teaching people to not rely on God for anything.
Right.
So, and they're basically, even the people that I talk to on set, I do a lot of background work, so you have a lot of downtime on the stuff. If you mention God to fellow actors, it's almost like you're mentioning something that's horrible, that's something that's bad. They not only don't want to hear it, but they'll actually fight you on it to try to prove to you that God doesn't even exist.
Right. You know what? In the end times, in the Revelations, it says what? Right is wrong and wrong is right. Is this not? This is the time that actually, black and white, you can see how people have taken that, what was right, and made it wrong and right. So it's just a shame, but people need to see that, and I just hope that, through watching my show, along with other people who are sharing the gospel, that people would see that, you know what, there really is a heaven and hell. You make a decision. You got a free will. What's your choice going to be? But you know what? One's through the salvation of Jesus Christ, and the other one is worshiping the devil. So which way do you want to go?
Well, it would just seem common sense. I mean, even if a person doesn't even read the Bible or go to church, it would just seem common sense that a person would want happiness and light in their life instead of darkness and desperation and misery. I don't understand it, except for to say that I know that God is here with us, and unfortunately, the devil's probably on here also controlling a lot of people's lives. Yeah. I thank God that God is in my life and not the darkness.
Right.
Because I really feel bad for all those people.
I know.
I mean, that are on the other side.
Definitely. I just want to thank you so much for coming on my show. This was very interesting. I'm glad to hear it.
Thank you for having me.
And I just want to again let you know that I do speaking engagements. So if you're looking for a guest speaker, I got a very inspiring story, especially the fact that I was found 2 days old in a bathroom in Korea. So that's where my life starts from. And also, if you could be able to like my Inspired Blessings Facebook page, and trying to get 1,000 likes at least, along with the fact that if you want to hear any kind of samples of my songs, you could just go to CD Baby as well. And I just want to thank you again. So keep Inspired Blessings within arm's reach to help give you comfort when others are at a loss for words. Thank you and God bless.
www.jeanmarieprince.com. To accept and receive Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, please say this prayer. I know that I am a sinner who needs forgiveness. Jesus, please forgive me for all my sins and purify me. I know that you died and rose again to pay for my sins. I need you to be my Lord and Savior for the rest of my life. Thank you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
With man, this is impossible, but with God, all things.
my